True story. I was taking the quiver off my son's bow the other day, and it dawned on me that sucker is over 30 years old. It made me laugh enough that I called Drew and I said, hey, what a poor business model, you guys selling products that last over 30 years. He said, why don't you send it to me and I'll refinish it. I was like, man, you know how many bows this thing's been on? Because I don't. Change the hood, change the grippers. I mean, I've wood arrows, aluminum arrows, carbon arrows. That thing's seen it all. And I promise you, I probably would not buy a used bow for me. I'm kind of tough on stuff. So anyways, if you're looking for a quiver, I would tell you, if you want to spend your money once, better look at Selway Archery. You'll have that sucker a long time. Slide-ons, tie-ons, bolt-ons, they got all kinds. Give Drew a holler. Check them out. It'll last a heck of a long time. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Stickbow Chronicles, brought to you by the Black Widow Bow Company. What's going on, Blake?
What's up, buddy?
Oh man, we're treading we're trekking across uncharted territories for me, anyways.
Yeah, so we are live on Facebook as you are hearing this, and we're gonna take some phone calls. Kind of like a radio station, like we actually know what we're doing or something.
Ooh, yeah. So, looking for people to call in. We the last time we did Are You Mad, Bro? It was so well received, and people wanted to hear us BSing some more, and we thought, man, how about having the audience prompt us?
Yeah, no, and I think everybody would like to hear you win an argument. So I got a lot of feedback on that episode that I destroyed you. So figure we better have have a round two here.
Well, now, do we want to do we want to continue on with how you thought
we
you
can almost? I almost hit you below the belt earlier. We were at a petting zoo wildlife thingy. There was a big ass black bear in an enclosure, and I almost took a picture of it. And it was sitting at a picnic table while they were feeding it, like
no
a human
way.
sitting at a picnic table. It had his ass on the picnic table and his paws up on the table. And I almost took a picture of it and said, "Rob's wild bears waiting on him to come put more donuts in the bait barrel."
Yeah, screw you. Did I say that out loud?
That's fine.
I thought the emu picture was a riot.
No, that was funny. That's the first thing I thought of every time I see emu now, the first person I think of is Cam Hill.
That story never got out. It was
no. And if somebody else isn't going to get him on a podcast, we'll have to just title a podcast Cam Hill Rated R, and we'll just have to do it. That story needs to be heard.
That was gold. It was gold. It's got to be YouTube Live, though.
Yeah. No, we need to do that. It'd be funny.
So if anybody that's watching, we got 20 people or so watching. You guys want to talk about something? You put it down here in the comments and with your phone number, and I'll give you a ring. But for right now, where were we at on when we left off? And you thought that you found an old post of mine that maybe bolstered your skew.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dig that up.
Well, now refresh my memory.
It's a good thing that you reminded me, because I'd almost forgot about it.
Oh no!
No, so one of my arguments for trail cameras and was that you can more effectively selectively target the older age class animals. So in other words, generally at the beginning of the year, every year, there is one specific deer or maybe two that I am targeting through trail cameras. Now, actually, this buck right here from last year, the first time I found him wasn't on a trail camera. I was glassing a soybean field, which is actually very strange for down here because you don't get that luxury very often. But that was kind of my argument because I've always been told or taught, however you want to put it, just because of where I grew up and, however you want to look at that is, a healthier deer herd is a deer herd where you're harvesting not only the right amount of does and bucks, but harvesting, older age class bucks. And if I can find the post, which is going to be a problem, it appears, you had poo-pooed on age structure.
Well, my thing was like
being a valid argument.
Yeah, but my thing is like, what? Who says you need to be killing the oldest bucks?
Me, because I like to. That's just, I don't know, and that's not me poo-pooing on people shooting 2.5-year-olds. If that's, in whatever situation you're in, if you're hunting, I don't know, big woods, Minnesota or something like that, and you might only see a couple 3 bucks from a tree every year, you've got to take what's in front of you, right? 115-inch 3-year-old buck may be the best opportunity you get in 2 or 3 years. And, that's just, some people are geographically screwed. I know Aaron uses that term a lot, but around here, I've got the luxury of being very picky. I have a long time to hunt. And one way of making it harder for me, or making it a challenge, is to target one specific animal. Because if I just go out and want to shoot a buck, a 3-4-year-old buck or whatever, that's not going to be all that difficult if I'm just willing to shoot any 3 or 4-year-old buck that walks out. I'm generally going to hunt one specific deer, and that's one way of making it harder or more difficult or more of a challenge or whatever, because there's a lot of years that I chase one buck all year and never get him killed. Okay. Well, let's go through some of the comments real quick. No, go ahead.
No, Rob. You're going to say something and then bail. You're going to change the subject.
No, I'm actually looking for this. So anyway, it was a post, and it was something along the lines of, Rob was poo-pooing on Idaho Game and Fish for the age structure of whitetails in North Idaho. And I commented, as soon as I saw it, I commented and I said, well, hang on a minute. I thought age structure didn't matter, Mr. Patuto.
Yeah. So I like that you called me Mr. Patuto. Well,
Mr. Patty.
So let me ask you this. What would be wrong for you to be sitting in a tree stand with no trail cameras and be surprised with any deer that come by, like, a 3-year-old 130 or like,
I don't think there'd be anything wrong with it. I mean, that's what I did for years when I was a kid, and it was awesome. But, again, I get to, because I hunt out of state and stuff, I get to see both sides of this coin, because I do, when I go out of state, I'm going in blind, right? And I don't know what's over the next ridge. I don't know what I'm going to see. So I still get that same level of excitement that I did when I was a kid, and for the same reasons. Now here at home, I still get that same level, or I still get a level of excitement. It's just for a different reason. It's exciting to me because I'm playing a game of, chess or checkers or whatever you want to call it with one specific deer.
Okay.
And that's what makes it difficult.
So on to what you thought you found. You thought you found this nugget.
I cannot find it. My phone.
As I'm
hacked me and deleted it.
Well, for what I was talking about is the Idaho Department of Fish and Game has shot out. Well, the seasons have been so long, we have shot out our age structure. So to me, it's a different thing than to be targeting deer, you know. And I was talking about like, why is the age structure important, as opposed to a department that doesn't have good stats because they don't have a check-in thing, and they're totally going on, well, he's shooting 4 points, you must be shooting 4-year-old deer. It's way anticlimactic because you don't have the post, because I, broke into your phone.
So they think if you're in Idaho, if you're shooting a 4 point or an 8 point, what we call it in the South, that you're shooting mature animals.
Apparently, because that is the talking specifically in this region. That's his counter argument. Well, I'm like, hey man, our age structure of our bucks has been depleted because we're not seeing any mature deer. And he's like, well, you aren't seeing mature deer, but we're checking in 4 points at this, percentage of the harvest. Well, it's like, so you think
I have a 2-year-old that's a 4 point.
Yeah. So so it was just comical. I'm like, so you think a 4 point you think that's a 4-year-old deer?
Okay.
That's not.
Yeah. Here, I found it. It's, so this is a post by a guy, he's a natural born hunter on Travis Hobbs, I believe is his name. So Rob comments on this post and says, I'm generally a supporter of Idaho Fish and Game. I had to laugh at the whitetail proposals in northern Idaho, though. Everybody knows the age structure sucks for our whitetail herd in the Panhandle, including the conservation officers, but the biologist says we're still killing 4 points. So in his mind, a 4 point is mature. Rather than scale back the 7-week gun season right through the rut, we're going to add another week with muzzleloaders at the end. And I saw this in my news feed as I was scrolling down and thought that I'd found a pot of gold. So I commented back and said, I thought age structure didn't matter, Rob.
He was giddy.
And
he was giddy when he found
a little bit. No, but I guess here's my question. So say North Idaho had a great age structure, right?
Yeah.
So say, and the population was high. So say you're seeing, 120, 130 inch bucks all the time.
And it used to be like that. It used to be like that.
Really?
Oh, no joke.
Well,
man. It was incredible.
I guess here's my point is, if it wasn't a challenge to you to go out and shoot a 140 inch buck every year, would you start to target the oldest, 160, 170, 180 type bucks to challenge yourself further? Or would you just shoot what walked under you?
You know what? I can't answer that because in my wildest dreams, honestly, I've never been, can't even imagine. So,
well, yeah, and I get what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make here is I try and make things difficult because I like to hunt. I don't want to go out and tag out on opening weekend and be done.
Oh yeah. No, I get it. And we get one tag. So, hey,
right.
we got a dude, Sam, he's got some questions and I got him. It's going to be our first call.
10-4.
See how this works.
Hello.
Is this Sam?
This is
Sam. What's going on, Mr. Rob?
Hey, real good.
Yeah. What's happening? What you got a question?
Sure. Yeah. I wanted to say, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah.
Oh, well played, man. Well played.
Very nice.
Yeah. To my credit, I was stumped. I was supposed to say, welcome to the Stickbow Chronicles. You smoked me, man. What's up, Sam? Where are you at?
Well, I am in South Dakota.
Right on.
And I shot my first deer with a recurve like 20 some odd years ago. And just my uncle got me into it, and it was grip and rip back then. And then there was, a good 18 years of never shooting one until recently. And now recently I've, wanted to do it more the right way. I've gone through the pushes, Tom Clum's course, and actually went to a thing with him and learning form and technique and stuff. And I thought I had it pretty good, but this last fall I went on some spot and stock hunts, and was missing like crazy, not left and right, just shooting under the deer all the time. And I realized that with this setup, my arrows are a lot heavier. And obviously that trajectory is quite a bit off from what I was used to when I was a kid and shooting, and figured, I've been shooting compound all those other times in between. So maybe that had something to do with it too. But I thought maybe I would start finding out where my point on was and getting more to like a gap shooting thing. And right now with my current setup, my point on is like 28 or 30 yards, somewhere right in there. And I would like to make it longer. And so the other day I went and I took a picture of me at full draw and looked. I'm shooting day 6 arrows with the outserts, and my I have about an inch of carbon before you would get to where my shelf starts. So what's that? Technically that's the back of the bow, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I could cut maybe about an inch off before the outsert would get to where my shelf is. But I've also thought of, well, maybe I could, have the bow work to where I could get an elevated rest or fishing string rest, which would give me maybe another 2 inches of that I could cut off and stuff. And I'm fairly confident that the arrows would still tune if I did cut off, say, another inch or inch and a half. But like, is it a problem, or do you guys see a problem to where if I did cut the arrow shorter to where maybe the outsert would start to touch the riser portion of the bow or anything else like that? Or when you cut your arrows, do you typically make it so when you're at full draw, your outsert's still not all the way, to the riser? Just
let me ask you a couple
I would love to
questions
hear you guys.
here.
Yeah.
What's your poundage and arrow weight and stuff?
Arrow weight is about, it's right around 520, somewhere around 525 to 530. I've got
okay. And what's your poundage?
52 at 20. 52
okay,
at 28,
so,
and I'm drawing about 28 and a half.
Okay, so you're shooting 3 under. I'm gonna go ahead and assume then.
No, split finger.
Really? So you must have a really high anchor then, I would assume, up on your face.
Yep, my index finger is right below my eye on my cheekbone.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense now then. So dropping your anchor down a little bit is not an option for you?
I mean, maybe, but part of when I went through.
Well, my point being is shaving an inch off your arrow. Since your anchor is so high, shaving an inch off your arrow is not going to change your point on very much at all. The lower your anchor is, the more effect your arrow length has on your point on distance. So if you've got a really low anchor on your face, cutting a couple inches off your arrow can change your point on a lot. But if you're anchoring really high up on your face, trimming arrow length is not going to change it too much. So my only suggestion would be, as of right now, is either go to an elevated rest so you can trim as much off of it as you can, or play with dropping your anchor down a little bit. Rob, I'm curious what you think.
That's your wheelhouse. No, that makes sense to me. Is changing to 3 under an option for you?
Changing to 3 under would
interesting.
I try.
Issue. Oh, gotcha.
That would move the arrow. Well, and
I
make his point on less.
Yeah, and I tried it, and it was so awkward for me that I immediately quit.
No,
I was like, no, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah, no, and if you're comfortable with split finger, definitely stay with split finger. The main benefit to 3 under is getting the arrow closer to your eye, which you anchor so high already. That's not, the 3 under is not going to help you any, right? I would try and play with a little lower anchor point. That would be my suggestion anyway.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. When I went through Tom's course and I actually met with him and we were going through like where to anchor and stuff, I've got really, really flexible shoulders, and when we do his things, like my anchor point should be on my ear because of how flexible my shoulders are
Really?
before my scapula gets all the way. Yeah, I don't know. I've got really short forearms apparently too. I'm some super hobbit. So I had to kind of find something on my face that I could consistently anchor to and put it in. And I've got pretty pronounced cheekbones. Apparently I'm a girlish hobbit. So that's where it just kind of feels comfortable to get a consistent spot. I know when I was a kid, I always went to the corner of my mouth, just hooking my finger in the corner of my mouth. But I guess, I don't know what your guys' opinion is on that, but I feel like you're going to get real inconsistent anchor points because you can move your mouth.
Yes, you can. But if you can find a tooth in your mouth that's in a specific spot, your bone structure is not going to move. Your mouth can move.
That's true.
So I anchor middle finger in the corner of my mouth, but it's actually I'm putting my middle finger on the back of my incisor tooth. So that's a point that cannot move. I would play with something like that, or even if it's something in the top of your mouth, putting maybe your ring finger, your middle finger on the back of your incisor tooth. The feather the nose thing is pretty rock solid. I mean, just play around with it. But as far as options to lengthen your point on, short of dry firing your bow and shooting a super light arrow, you're just going to have to drop your anchor down if your anchor's that high.
Yep. No, I understand that was something I had not really considered. So that makes sense. That's awesome.
Cool, man.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
Right on, Sam. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
No, I was thinking like he explained it later, but 3 under and dropping it down to be more of a conventional where do you anchor?
I anchor middle finger in the corner of my mouth, so the arrow is kind of right in line with my nose. But I always say the corner of my mouth. I'm putting my middle finger on my incisor tooth, on the back of my incisor tooth, and then put my nose on the feather. But from what it sounds like, he's anchoring right up here. So his arrow, even though he's shooting split finger, is even higher than what mine is, and that's why he's got that super close point on. That's why I just assumed he was shooting 3 under, because with that setup, his point on with conventional type anchors should be 35, 40, 45 yards, somewhere in there. So yeah, that's pretty much his only option, is to drop his anchor down a little bit. Yeah, Greg, you're an old buck killer, which I equate to being a big buck killer. Just some areas old bucks get bigger antlers than they do in other places. That doesn't mean whenever I talk about big bucks, I'm not talking about bucks with big headgear. I'm talking about old bucks, like 6-7-year-old bucks.
Hey,
what they got on top of their heads, not as important.
Why don't you tell folks what you're working on? What do you got going on for the hunt this year? You got something pretty exciting.
Oh yeah. So Tony Treach and myself, those of you who don't know who Tony is, he is a big time mule deer killer, a killer of all things, really. Go follow him on Instagram, or go look at his Instagram page, and the guy's needs no introduction, but he's a guy I've looked up to for a while now, and I met him through Iron Will, and him and I have just become good friends over the last couple years, texting back and forth and calling back and forth and whatever. So him and I are going to Eastern Colorado, and we're hopefully, as of right now, both going to have either species deer tags, and we are going to film the whole thing. So Aaron is actually nice enough to have David DeAustin from Kifaru come out, and he's going to film the whole thing. We're going to be hunting right in the middle of the rut. Tony's had great success in Kansas, hunting them in the rut with a bow, decoying them in, super, super close encounters, deer posturing at decoys. It should be awesome footage, and hopefully we'll see some really good quality animals and hopefully shoot a couple of them. So yeah, that's it should be really, really cool. Kind of the storyline on it, is going to be kind of that bridging the gap storyline. Compound guy, trad guy hunting together. There's not going to be a whole lot of difference in how Tony hunts and how I hunt. We just have different equipment. So be super fun for me though. Tony's a great hunter. He's really good at killing those open country deer. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a lot of fun, and should make some really, really cool footage and cool film. So super, super excited for that.
No, that sounds like it's going to be awesome, man. And to have a professional videographer on there, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, this is something that I've tried to do myself several times. That's kind of how this came about. Is I was talking to Tony, and Tony's gotten bugged a ton by people to have someone come and film him. And I actually just mentioned it to Tony and said, man, this would be a really easy hunt to film. If we were ever going to film a hunt, like this would be an easy one to do, because it's open country. It's not like hiking in the mountains and camping out and all that stuff. I mean, we'll be staying in a house, and I mean, we'll definitely be getting out and doing some hiking and stuff, but it's not anything as strenuous or anything. It's not something where it's going to be a pain in the butt to haul a camera around. And so we just kind of started rubbing our heads together and came up with a plan. And man, it's going to be awesome. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Well, that sounds good. Not a strenuous hunt.
No, not at all. It'll be a nice mix up from the high country. High country, it always whoops my butt a little bit.
Well, I'm waiting on a couple of coworkers to pick their next round of vacation, because I'm anxious to get back down to central Idaho and do some backpacking this spring. I'm probably a little bit behind the eight ball on my getting in shape as I'm sitting here drinking beer. But I am fired up, looking forward to getting back down there and doing a week of backpacking. If my coworkers pick the weeks I want, the rattlesnake population is going to skyrocket if I got to go later.
No, we're going to try and get you down here to Oklahoma to hunt some whitetails too.
Yeah. And that's November, right?
Yeah, I would definitely come like early November, late November timeframe. Even in the first week of December, it can still be pretty good.
Aaron was talking.
You're going to be like a kid in a candy store down here, man.
Gosh.
I'm telling you.
I'm gonna take a pallet of trail cameras down and corn, right?
You can't bait on public land in Oklahoma, so you'll be.
No, I don't buy that.
Buddy. No, you cannot.
What? That's
no baiting.
That who got that picture of the gator underneath the feeder?
I saw that on Facebook. I thought it was funny as hell, though.
I did too.
That cheating bastard. Alligators don't have any ethics.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Hey, what's up with copper-plated sixes and the and no? What's he up? He doesn't like turkey fanning.
I guess, man. Anything with a blind and a decoy, he's and I like a lot of the stuff he posts. I really do. I think he
does a service, to be honest with you. Yeah.
No, he really does. He really does. And there's some things I don't really understand. I'm not a turkey hunter. Like I will not ever pretend to be one. I've killed a few of them. I can call halfway decent enough to get stupid birds to come in. But he hates on people who use blinds and decoys. I'm like,
even blinds?
Generally, yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I don't know it's really hard to kill even dumb turkeys without a blind with a bow. It's pretty hard to do. But I don't know. I'm not a turkey guy. I just go a few times a year when I have time. And, I honestly, most of it's been run and gun without a blind or decoys. But if I've got time, I'll go out and set up a blind and take some decoys. And I've never thought twice about it, but he poo-poos on it pretty hard. But I think that's kind of like bass fishermen who hate on people who eat largemouth bass. It's like it's a uppity, snooty thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was letting fish go before it was cool, but now I eat them just in spite of people who freak out that you killed a trout. Like,
oh, I have a buddy of mine that he'll get plumb mad at you if you
Really?
talk about eating a largemouth bass. Yeah, you're not supposed to keep them. Big time bass fishermen, you're not supposed to keep them. Throw them back. Like, man, they taste great. I don't know.
I don't play with my food. Yeah, I don't play with my food. It's not like you go out and catch a chicken and then let it go and catch it again and let it go.
I know.
Not how I roll. Hey, I got one for you, and I really don't want to go down the road of this discussion because it's a negative thing. But I can't help but laugh at have you seen where I think it's a congressman or a senator in Idaho has proposed breaching Snake River dams. Now, I'm not up on the Snake River dams and what they produce and how long they've been there and all that. So aside from that, BHA jumped in both feet promoting breaching the dams on the Snake River to save the fish and all that. I mean, it's a very complex issue, but I couldn't help but laugh that BHA was going to weigh in on that, but they won't weigh in on trapping bans on national forest or baiting bans on national forest or predator control. Or they sure seem to pick their battles. It's not coming across right. To me, it was kind of weird to see them weigh in on that.
I don't know. I think both of our jobs are pretty anti-BHA. I've done a lot of well service work on public land and seen a lot of deer from a well site pad, and they don't seem to care. And you're stopping up salmon streams, and I don't know, man. I guess they like to have fish fries at their pint nights or something. They want more. Who knows?
Well, they were always they always use we're about access. We're about access, where they won't weigh in on huge issues that impact hunters. But they're going to jump in both feet and support this breaching the dam. Which, again, I like all that aside. I mean, I do think it's a little bit weird how everybody wants to promote, green energy, get rid of coal-fired plants, get rid of nuclear plants. But, man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see some of these people who can't get their phones charged. I mean, that's going to be the trigger, right? We can laugh about electric cars, but the day that somebody can't charge their phone because the sun ain't shining or the wind ain't blowing, I'm going to be laughing.
Hey, example A is Texas during that big snowstorm.
Yeah.
Because all the solar farms were shut down, all the windmills were froze up, and that's what, as much natural freaking gas as we pipe out of this state, a bunch of the lefties wanted clean energy, wanted Texas to rely more on clean energy. So we've got all these solar farms and wind farms and all this crap. And when that big snowstorm came in, that's what screwed Texas, is it stopped all that crap down. And that's why, half the state or whatever it was didn't have power for, 4 or 5 days. But no, I don't understand it, man. It's BHA Terry says BHA has tofu at pint nights.
Well, wait a minute. Beer would be considered vegan, wouldn't it?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm a vegan tonight. Whoa. Jack Harrison. If that is true, I would love for you to call and get us pointed in the right direction on that one.
As in they jumped on it, were a major part of us getting it off the table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would like to hear that too. No, I mean, I'm open to it. If Jack Harrison has something that BHA helped get that bear hunting ban in California shut down, I'm open to it because there is no state in the union that needs BHA more than Idaho. But there is so much negativity that comes with them. It scares me. Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty negative on BHA, and I think it's rightfully so. But man, I really, really wish that they. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. Idaho needs BHA, but they just have so much baggage that they scare me.
Yeah, I mean, the predator hunting thing's huge. It just seems they jump in weird places.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Jack, if you want to hop on, man, we're taking calls. I'd like to hear what you got to say on the.
It's gonna be brutal to edit.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll edit it.
Will you? Because we got 24 hours.
Yeah, I'll edit it. It's fine. I can wake up early in the morning to do it.
Did you see? Did you see Biden falling up the stairs? I mean, I feel bad. You know, you don't want to laugh at an old guy stumbling, but.
You see the meme or whatever with Trump hitting the drive off the tee box?
Oh gosh, was that hysterical or what?
Rolling.
All right. Well, looks like Stephanie Newman wants on and most likely to harass.
That's fine. A little comedic relief.
You know what we should do? We just.
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's up?
I was just watching Old School. What's up with you?
Just hanging out. What did you do today?
I worked, and then we went hiking around some of the state forest, and I found a shed. First one of the year.
A good one?
Just a little shit, though. And then we grilled out, and now I was listening to you guys and watching Old School at the same time.
Well, it sounds like
a big day.
I found a shed on public land the other day, and I didn't even post it or hashtag it or anything. I screwed up.
I didn't post mine either. Okay.
How are you gonna grow your Instagram?
I'm picking on the shedicated, the hardcore shed hunters that are hashtag DIY, hashtag public land. Not picking on you directly.
Oh, I know.
How are you going to grow?
Now I'm going to have to post it, and then people are going to share it, and I'm going to share it back to my story, and I'm just going to keep doing that just to get as much attention as I can.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any super important questions. I was trying to find a hog hunt in Texas, if Blake has any input on that.
Yeah, there's actually some spots I could send you to that potentially aren't in Texas that are really good. I was just saying, anybody listening to this, don't call me and ask me because I can't send 40 people in there.
Was that spot you were talking about in Indiana?
Yeah, that's it. It's in Pike County, Illinois.
Yeah, send Steph down there.
I heard there's a bunch of wild hogs in Indiana.
How are you going to grow your Instagram account if you don't post sheds on there?
I don't know. I'm just failing miserably, apparently. I'm going to have to start taking pictures in bikinis or something.
I am.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
Those shorts you wear aren't far from a bikini.
I'm gonna have to wax, though.
Who do you recruit to take those pictures? Will your wife do it, or do you have to pay someone?
Oh, my wife wants nothing to do with what I do here.
Oh, I figured.
What do you mean, I figured? I just stirred up a photo from what year would that have been? Early 2000s. And it was myself and my buddy Pete. He's an old guy. And Dale Dye from Trails End Bows. You guys probably don't know who that is. He passed away.
Heard the name?
Yeah, he passed away here recently. an old bull ear from Montana. And we were pig hunting, and I have my killing pants on, which were like World War II, the old Army surplus pants.
Duck camo?
No, they're not camo. It was way before camo. But I always used to roll them up to my knees. And so, yeah, it's got a photo of me. And I was like, that's a classic. My killing pants.
Did you post it or you're going to post it?
I was not going to post it.
Well, now you have to because now everyone knows about it.
Not everyone.
That's right.
This episode didn't go out, and this episode ain't going so well, so it might not go out.
Well, everyone's chugging beers. It's a Saturday night.
Yeah, we were supposed to do it last night, but Rob had to work late.
What do you do for a job, Rob?
Me?
Yeah.
So I'm a hydro operator. You know what that is?
Water.
Yeah. I run a dam.
Water treatment plant? I don't know.
I run a dam. So like when you want your curling iron, right? When you get up in the morning, it probably takes you an hour and a half, 2 hours to get ready.
You think I know how to use a curling iron?
Oh, absolutely. You're a chick. You have an Instagram account.
So do you.
Yeah, it's not going so good. Yeah, no. So I run a dam, pretty big dam. As far as dams go, it's a damn good job.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Don't let him lie. He's a full-time Stickbow Chronicles host.
Yeah, and the
We make
cheese
millions
line.
off this.
Yeah, and the cheese line.
Blake, you still have to send me your address so I can send you that milkweed.
I do. I actually do want some of that stuff.
I've been watching
We don't have it down here.
I've been watching
That I
my
know of,
mailbox
anyway.
religiously.
Blame it on the post office.
So what do you put it in? Do you put it in like a little film canister or something?
I've put it in like a chew tin, but some people put it in
Okay.
film canisters. Some people have it in like mesh. I have a problem with just stuffing it in the pockets of all my hunting clothes, and then I just randomly find it. So I'm just kind of constantly pulling it out unintentionally anyways. But I kind of just have it hoarded everywhere. And it grows all over too,
No.
so a lot of times I just grab it fresh then and throw it when I'm kind of checking stuff.
Well, the little puffer deal has always worked fine, like in a tree and stuff, because thermals aren't as big of a thing down here as they are in the mountains. But in the mountains, after seeing Aaron use them and hearing about him using them and how he watches them with the binos, that'll be a game changer in the mountains, big time.
Yeah, it is nuts to see. Like sometimes I'll be in a tree, and when I throw it, and it's going one direction, and then a little while later it's going completely different, or you see it swirling. That it's kind of cool to watch it, but
Yeah.
also makes me realize how hard it is to hunt some of the spots.
It was an eye opener.
It was an eye opener. I've got some spots down here that it doesn't matter how strong the prevailing winds are that day. There's a few spots that I've just come to terms with that it's almost impossible to hunt them just because it swirls bad in some spots. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. We have some spots like that too. And it seems like the weather's never right, that we try to pick the spot based on the wind, and then you get there and the wind's doing something completely different.
Yeah,
somehow.
that's one of the reasons, because a couple of my best spots are spots where the wind swirls, and I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with because the deer like those spots because the wind swirls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever hear the Wenzels talk about mature bucks walking with the wind at their back, using their eyes?
I've heard that.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I've heard that, and what I would imagine is that's in more open, not as underbrushy type timber. I don't see that. I really don't. Not very often, unless it's a buck behind a doe or something like that. But if it's an old buck cruising, most of the time, I always see them cruising with the wind in their face, or at least a crosswind of some kind. But hardly ever do I see them working with the wind at their back. But I think a lot of that has to do with they can't, and a lot of the timber that I'm hunting is the underbrush is so grown up. They're just, your eyes don't help you that much, I guess would be. But I don't know. Honestly, that'd be a good question to ask them. Because I mean, they've been doing it a whole hell of a lot longer than I have, and a whole lot more different places than I have. That's just what I've seen. What I've seen down here is, man, they like having the wind in their nose. That's why I hunt. That's why I am big scent control guys, because I hunt a lot of winds that are not perfect, because generally the spots where I'm trying to go in and kill a deer, if the wind's perfect for me, I'm probably not going to see him because he doesn't have the wind in his favor or can't get the wind in his favor. So I'm typically going to hunt a wind that is just off of where that deer is coming from. So he still kind of has the wind in his face, if that makes sense.
This year I got more serious. You and I we talk about it on the podcast. I got more serious about scent control this year than I have in a long time. And I know that it helped me this year. I know it did.
Yeah. And
as far as you're playing the wind more, or you're using different stuff to try to eliminate scent?
Just being more careful with my clothes, not putting them on until I get to the tree stand, washing them and, scent-free soap, and keeping them in a bag, so that they don't pick up other scents, and just being more vigilant.
I don't know. Jesus could come down right now and tell me scent control doesn't work, and I would keep doing it, because I've not done it, and I've done it, and I see the benefits of it, like physically see deer act different when I do it versus when I don't. And, sometimes it's just not enough. Most of the time it's not, but even if it just gives me a few extra seconds or keeps a deer from just blowing everything out of the country, because that's what I see a lot is, deer, if I practice zero scent control and I smell like a dirty sock, as soon as they cut my wind, they're going to start blowing and throwing a fit. And then my hunt's more than likely over. If I'm really, really tight knit on my scent control, they're probably still going to smell me, but they're not, it's like they can't get a bead on what it is, or it doesn't make them quite as nervous as if it was a really strong stench. So they may just kind of look around and throw their nose up and then just kind of walk off nervously. And that may be what saves my hunt is, just the lack of a deer blowing. And it just, to me, some deer on days that when I don't practice any scent control, they may smell me from 200, 300, 400 yards off. And if I'm practicing, tight scent control, those deer won't ever smell me generally, or I don't see that anyways. I'm not going to get smelled from that far off. Just broadening or tightening up your scent cone, I guess. That I've heard you use that term before, Rob. That's what seems to make the biggest difference.
Stephanie, you ever try Evercalm?
No, but I've heard people talking about it. I'm kind of just a skeptic of everything, I guess. When I first started bow hunting, I was buying like all of the scent killer brand, shampoos, conditioners, body washes, sprays, everything, like detergent. But the last, I don't know, at least 5 years, I just started buying like the hypoallergenic laundry detergent because it's scent free. And I just buy like hypoallergenic body wash, like anything that's unscented, like unscented shampoo, conditioner. Because I guess I'm not convinced that stuff actually like kills odor more by spending extra money on it. So I just always try to play the wind and just use unscented stuff as much as possible. But I have been a little curious about the Evercalm and then also the nose jammer. I know some people swear by that too, but I guess can you really overwhelm the sense, like the smells and senses of a buck? Because with a coonhound, she can smell everything. I don't care how many scents are there. She's still going to know if there's a critter nearby. So I feel like nose jammer would never fool our hound. So I guess I'm not convinced it would fool a deer, but maybe it gives them a little more comfort and maybe it makes human scent a little less overwhelming. But
yeah, could you try something on your coonhound to kind of test it? Is there a toy or something the dog likes and hide it and spray something on it? That'd be interesting.
I remember there was like some reason I kind of thought she could smell over nose jammer, but I should think of like a specific way to test her. But I don't know. I mean, the only thing that she's bullheaded. So the only thing that she's like for sure going to get excited about is food, like raw meat. So I don't know that spraying raw meat and nose jammer would be effective, like testing.
No, I've heard a lot of people talk about that. No, I've never used a nose jammer. I've always used dead downwind. And I mean, honestly, I think the most important thing, I think that's all minutia. Whatever you're using, as long as it's scent free, I think is probably a good thing. I think the biggest thing is cutting down on your sweat as much as humanly possible. And body hair seems to hold scent a lot more than I don't know if that makes sense or not, but cutting down on any amount of sweat seems to be a big difference maker. So, no, a lot of people, because it's cold when they get out of their truck, they'll throw all their clothes on and then walk to the stand. Well, by the time you get to your stand, you've sweated a whole bunch. So any scent control that you did before that point is pretty much screwed. So cutting down on how much you sweat is a big thing from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah. I get cold really easy, so I always need like a ton of layers in the stand. So I end up packing out like my huge bibs and my big jacket, and I just walk out in like my base layers. And then I put it on, like, depending on how hidden the tree is. If I can get away with getting dressed at the base of the tree, I will. Otherwise, I might stop a couple 100 yards away and put it on. But yeah, the layers I wear once I'm in the tree, I would be sweating balls by the time I got to the stand.
Yeah.
Let's
I got Jack Harold.
Longbow Dan says, Blake, when's the new Widow going to be ready? So Rob and I are probably both going to get our bows at the end of this next week. Well, I'm getting a full new bow. Rob's getting limbs.
Yeah. What do you?
Are you getting like just different weight limbs or?
Some carbon limbs.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, fancy schmancy. What are you shooting these days? You shooting a Kodiak 59 or?
Yeah, the 1959 Kodiak 64-inch, but I'm getting the camo mag riser.
Oh, that thing
with 40-pound limbs.
Yeah, that camo is pretty sick.
That's a cool looking bow.
So sweet.
It really is.
So I think I'm supposed to get that pretty soon here, but I was just trying to figure out what kind of arrows I wanted to order for it. Because the limbs should be like 42 at 28 on that, and I draw like 26 and a half, 27, so probably be pulling around 40.
What do you been shooting for arrows?
It depends.
Carbon,
we
aluminum?
have so many.
Wood?
I do carbon for the most part, but I've also done cedars too. But with this one, I want to get it set up with some carbons, but I want to keep them probably like right around 400 to 450 grains, because I want to keep it at like that 10 grains per pound. So I'm thinking I'm probably right on the line of ordering like 5s or 600s, because I want to cut them down a little more. Most of my arrows I've been keeping at like full length, but I want to cut them more to like 29. But I think I'm going to do either 100. Huh?
Do you shoot instinctive?
I think I'm considered like instinctive gap or something like that. I don't know.
That's about what I do.
Yeah, so like I don't actually, like if I focus on my point, that messes me up, but I think I just kind of naturally reference the riser, and I like kind of, notice where the arrow is, but I'm not like actually focusing on it. It's all sort of autofocus. But I definitely am not like completely instinctive either. I want to make it out to like an actual like big shoot, with like a large competition, but being at the post office, that's not going well with getting weekends off. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that go out west would be the. Of course, I don't know. Maybe that tack is something, but like, isn't ETAR a big deal?
It's supposed to be, but I was interested in going to. I think it's like Twin Oaks in Tennessee. I think that's a pretty cool one.
Huh?
Yeah, that's where Trad Worlds was last year. Was at Twin Oaks in Tennessee. Now, I would say Trad Worlds is the big one to go to.
That's the one I've been wanting to make it down to, but it just hasn't happened yet.
No, it's a fun shoot. It really was.
I bet.
Well, all the shoots.
Every year I see pictures from it, and I just wish I'd gone.
Yeah, all the shoots are during hunting season though, like May and June. it's like the thick of hunting season.
May and
For
June.
you.
Yeah, for bear and turkey in May.
Oh.
You know,
We can, like, turkey's the only thing we can chase in the spring. But the way our seasons is set up is, I don't know, it kind of sucks. Because you have to buy a tag for each week, but you can only apply to get one tag, like, as your first choice. And then there's the zones.
that's weird.
So there's like 6 weeks, and your tag is only good for that 1 week unless you can buy a leftover one for another week, and it has to be for that exact zone. And so, like, right now, I think I have 4 because the leftovers went on sale this week.
So you have 4 tags?
Yeah. So they you can apply for one like in December, I think they have to be in by, and then they tell you if you're awarded one, and then this week on Monday, zone 1 leftovers go for sale, and you have to be like waiting in line on the DNR website exactly at 10 a.m. and then they randomly assign you a number, which is your spot in line. So you might, even though you were waiting before the line started, you might end up as like the 2,500th person. And you have to just hope that you can get a leftover tag that day, but you can only buy one. And then on Tuesday, the following zone goes on sale, and it goes through all the zones. And then on Saturday, all the zones are up for sale, but you can still only buy like one tag per day.
Sounds confusing.
Yeah. Melody thought that she'd be able to get one, and she didn't realize she had to apply, so she was all messed up on it. I was trying to explain to her how to buy a leftover one. I think she ended up getting one for 5th season. It's a mess. I wish we just had one tag for the whole season and we could use it whenever.
Well, hey, it's good shooting the breeze with you. We got Jack's going to talk about hog hunting.
All right. Have fun. Stay out of trouble.
We won't.
Okay.
Sun's out. Sun's out, so watch for my tanning selfies. So that'll be coming soon.
Make sure you use some self-tanner to get them like nice and bronzed first.
To start them.
Kissed by the sun.
All right.
Take her easy. We'll see you, Steph.
See ya.
Later.
A beverage.
Who are we calling now?
Jack Harrison.
Oh, okay, cool. What are we talking?
He's talking about baiting hogs, or he can't bait hogs.
Rob, you need to hang up.
Okay.
Man, lucky I didn't say anything bad about you.
That's funny.
How'd that work?
Rob, you need to hang up.
She's in my head.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Jack?
Hey, let me mute you on the computer here. Right on. Stoked to jump on here. Can you hear me all right?
No, I hear you good, man. School me on the BHA spearheading the getting the bear band scrapped.
Oh God. So basically, it's kind of ironic since like BHA doesn't talk about predator related stuff, and then some senator in San Francisco, goes after basically trying to. He proposed a ban on all bear hunting in the state of California, which, I mean, I don't want to blow up my state, but we got some pretty good bear hunting and a lot of bears.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to blow that state up.
Yeah, Remy did it on the podcast already, right? Remy said on the episode with you guys that California was the best bear hunting in the continental U.S. or something like that.
Yeah, he did.
But anyways, yeah, so I was out pig hunting when it all happened and just got a bunch of texts like, oh, there's a bear ban, and I was like, oh shoot, we're screwed, because pretty much any ban that has been proposed here in California in the last like 10 years has gone through. But then I go on, social media and I start seeing all this stuff, and it's like a friend of mine, Charles, started the GoFundMe or the change.org petition, and then BHA just went crazy, and a bunch of those guys are affiliated with the local chapter, and it just seemed from my perspective and my friend's perspective, and given I wasn't a member at this time, I'd never been a member of BHA, and they just went like ballistic, and I was messaging everyone from emailing Meat Eater to you name it. Like I just went crazy and just was sending links to everybody I know, because I really thought we were going to lose this one. But they went crazy and they sent a bunch of emails and used, their platform and spoke out against it, which was really surprising to me, considering they don't do that when it comes to predators. So that's about all I know. But it's not that surprising, considering it's California. That's like the one state BHA ends up standing up for predators.
That is
kind of ironic out of all states, right? Yeah,
it is. No, so I mean, we get. I get frustrated with people painting with a broad brush sometimes, and I think it's probably fair to say that you can't probably paint all BHA chapters with the same broad brush. It probably depends on, who's involved or whatever. I think it's trying to navigate this. Probably goes. I don't think that. No, I mean I think from the top of BHA, maybe that's where the problem lies, but that doesn't necessarily speak for every individual chapter, every individual person.
You're absolutely right there. And that's probably something that I miss is like, there's probably is like really damn good people at the local level. But they're, the dude holding the rudder on the ship is probably the jacked up one.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I like I said, I was not a member prior to this, and I only joined because of what I saw happen, on my state level. Certainly haven't been very thrilled with their lack of activity regarding other anti-predator hunting and trapping issues that have, come after the one here in California. So I'm not an expert on the subject at all. Certainly not like a, hardcore BHA guy. I'm relatively new to the whole BHA thing. But I was surprised and ultimately really pleased with how they, jumped on it before media. They jumped on it before all the major hunting companies did. And before a lot of the other organizations as well.
Yeah, it's good to have, you already have a, if you got a local chapter, you already have a network right there that can use. No, that's solid. But, one thing I would say, looks like you're an expert on is survival.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't call myself an expert, but I did just get off work training, a couple dozen folks in wilderness survival. That's what I do for a job.
That's your job?
So, yeah. I don't promote myself because I'm a professional as far as like my career and survival goes. But yeah, I'm contracted through the state, and I train search and rescue, California Highway Patrol helicopter crews. I've had Elon Musk has flown in to train in a helicopter, Tim Ferriss, you name it. The old SEAL sniper school instructor, Eric Davis, I'm not here to name drop, but a lot of
name drop
that aren't just no, I can't drop any more names, but I do I do train a lot of folks, and several thousand a year, and that's been my career. So I've never had another job, and I've been teaching survival since I was a little kid, or not a little kid, since I was 18, but been in the woods training and around a lot of really talented woodsmen, trackers, survivalists, since I was really young. And just that exposure gave me a bit of a, I don't know, like it lit a passion, but it also gave me a skill set that was a little bit unique from spending so much time outside. And so, yeah, that's what I do, is I teach people how to stay alive if they get lost in the woods.
I'll be honest with you, I thought it was your hobby. I mean, I see on Instagram and stuff, and I didn't know you were at that level. That's pretty awesome, man.
No, we'll have to get you on the podcast and sometime and dive deeper into that. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I'd be super stoked to talk to you guys about it. And it's a really cool job. I probably by most people's standards, you might be considered, like, compared to what you two do for work, particularly Blake, I'd probably be considered unemployed. because I spend like about as much time hunting as I do working. But I'm real fortunate in that sense that what's that?
I said, you hiring?
Oh, dude, I know. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, man, I get to spend a lot of time hunting, and so I'm really lucky. I spend a lot of time in the woods. Like, I mean, definitely over 100 days a year.
So
that's awesome, man. Cool.
So you do a lot of hog hunting, right? Is it mostly spot and stock?
Yeah, which is what I initially wanted to ask Blake about. Here in California, it's funny because California gets a lot of flack, and understandably so. But we have a lot of hunting opportunity here, and a lot of folks don't know there's draws for desert bighorn sheep, antelope. We have all 3 species of elk, hogs, turkeys, blacktail, mule deer. List goes on and on. But anyways, we do have a lot of hogs, and where I hunt, there's like the most hogs in the state here in Central California, and we don't get to bait them. And I was just curious, what, like, just to kind of like contrast my experiences with Blake's behavior wise, as far as hog behavior goes. Cause I always, it's like, it gets tough when you like go down to your spot or to the ranch or whatever and you get into some pigs, but the next week they're 30 miles away.
No, they're super nomadic. There's no doubt. I think down here,
I was just curious,
there's so many of them that if one group moves off, there's going to be another group right behind them. So I never have finding them is not an issue down here at all.
Yeah. I
mean, there's hardly a time that I go out looking for them that I can't find a group somewhere if I spend enough time at it. And honestly, I don't know what your night hunting situation is in California, but that's my favorite time to hunt them is at night. And you can either use like a red lens, but what we started doing is we'll carry a thermal with us and find them with a thermal, and that obviously makes it a lot easier. We'll find a group with a thermal and then go after them. But I do chasing those lone boars and stuff. It's a lot of fun. And I mean, we can bait here, but honestly, I don't even bait pigs that much. I really, really like spotting and stalking them at night when they're super active. That's what I like to do.
Yeah. And it's funny because, we don't get to shoot them at night unless you're on a depredation permit, but it's cool to hear you mention, chasing those lone boars, because a lot of folks have no idea how hard it is if you're just targeting mature lone boars. Like locating those things, at least around here, and killing them is real tough. Like they're not, it's not like whatever tough, like shooting a, I don't know, trophy or monster mule deer or whatever, but like a 200-inch mule deer. But it's tough. It's like you have to think about it. They're mostly nocturnal, even at night. If you're chasing them around, like unless you know where they're eating,
you just don't see them very often. Honestly, the best way I've found to find those truly I've walked up on more big boars just walking through the timber. Than I have actually seeing them. You just don't see them very often. Totally. And you can run bait piles and all that. I hardly ever get pictures of really big old boars on bait.
Yeah.
They just won't come to it. I guess they've been around traps, hog traps and stuff enough that they get pretty smart to the bait piles. But honestly, still hunting them through the timber down here is probably your best way at killing a really big lone boar, because they tuck up in the deepest, nastiest, darkest shit they can get in, and you just don't ever see them.
Yeah.
They get really smart.
It's crazy.
I've killed some big ones. I've never killed a giant though. Yeah, no, I've never killed a giant. I'd love to kill a 300-pounder with my Stickbow, and man, they're few and far between. It's like killing a 200-inch whitetail.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's cool to talk about it because like you don't hear too many. At least I don't know. I don't hear too many guys that actually have a lot of experience just chasing those boars, like really talking about it. And a lot of people are always like, you know, internet guessing weight, being like, I shot a 380, and you're like, dude, that thing's pushing 200 pounds. You know what I mean?
No, honestly, I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I probably need to weigh the ones that I shoot. I hardly ever weigh them, but I mean, the biggest one that I've ever shot was probably around 250 pounds. And it was like a mind-blowingly big pig when I walked up to it. It was ginormous, but people don't understand those things are so lean and lanky that they look a lot bigger than what they weigh, because they are very lean. They're not like a big fat show pig, you know, so they don't have a lot of wasted space on them, in other words. So, you know, a 250 pound pig from nose to tail is like 5 feet long.
It's a monster.
Yeah.
You killed a monster about a year ago, didn't you, Jack?
Yeah, almost exactly a year ago. I shot that was a sow, and it was a huge sow. I don't know what she weighed. She broke my setup being gutted, me trying to hang her to break her down. So she snapped like my rope that was rated for, you know, a real heavy pig, or like basically for, you know, deer, elk, like just a gambrel off of Amazon and block and tackle. But she was a real big sow. And she actually had a lot of fat on her. Like, I was able to cut bacon out of her. And usually I'm not getting, you know, 3 inches of fat or more off of any of the male pigs I shoot.
She was huge. They don't hardly have any meat on them.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this year, I mean, I've been hunting like crazy, and had a couple really good shots at a couple big lone boars, but man, I was sitting in a wallow, and they just, you know how it is when you're sitting in a tree stand for like 6 hours. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, some pig just comes running in, and there he is for 5 seconds, and then he's just running out of there real quick. So you kind of got to be like in the zone the whole time. And I had like an earbud in, and I was like hanging out. All of a sudden, there's like a pig 7 feet from me, and I'm like, oh no, you know what I mean? Wasn't able to get a shot on him. Had another one do the same kind of thing a couple weeks ago.
They're fun, man. The big pigs on the ground, especially, they'll get your heart thumping. Terry asked how big the one I shot in the snow was a little while ago, and Terry, I didn't weigh it. If I was guessing, just shy of 200 pounds. It was a big pig, but it wasn't a
that was a big pig.
But anytime you start talking, I mean that pig was all head and shoulders. He had no ass end, so I would imagine he probably 190, 200 pounds. Good sized pig.
That's a good guess.
I mean, I don't think people.
Pig.
I don't think people realize how. I hear 300-pound pig get tossed around a lot. Like, and I don't know if people realize how big that actually. It's like a 300-pound bear, Rob. It's kind of the same thing. You see,
they're everywhere.
See that number get.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they see that. See that, and they. Well, I mean, I can tell you that bear I shot in Arizona, how like struck I was whenever I walked up to it, because it looked. I mean, you know, you've seen the video. It looks like, you know, pretty jug-headed, good-sized bear. Shoot it and all pumped up. We walk up to it. I'm like, man, this thing is.
It's not the same bear.
Very big. Somebody else shoot this one? Yeah, no. So it's no. So I mean,
so Jack,
go ahead, Rob.
That's how you shot. That's how you shot. You know, the boars are notorious for that fighting pad, that gristle behind the shoulder.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure the sows don't have it. Well, how tough is it to get penetration? I'm not even going to finish that.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm not going to. If you actually,
they oh yeah, that was going in a dark place.
Yep. Okay.
You know, she had a plate on her, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't probably as thick as some of the other ones. I don't spend a lot of time like looking at them when I'm dressing them. Sometimes I'll cut them out and I'll be like, dang, look at that. But to be honest with you, there's just getting the hide off the shoulders is such a pain in the butt anyways with a hog. Just getting the skin off in general is a pain. And so I didn't look real close, but, you know, some of those boars, and I was curious with Blake where he likes to shoot them, because shot placement in my experience is super critical with pigs. You know, if you hit them too, like what people think is a good shot is usually too high, because of their spine. They have like, you know, their back is actually like their spine has these spurs on the back of them. Like when you break one down, you see them, and it's like these spurs that poke up. And some of these spurs are like 4 inches long, and so their actual back is 4 inches above their spine, right? So like you got to go 4 inches down to where you would see on like a deer, the back of a deer, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
yeah, where the
your
body
shot
cavity starts.
Exactly where the body cavity starts. And so the diaphragm and the heart, everything is so low and forward that I've had real bad experience. I mean, hitting them either just mid body, like a killer shot on a deer, where you think you just double lunged it and smoked them. But any high shots for me, you know, I don't get blood. The recovery's tough. They don't drop real quick. And then it's like you got to shoot them for the front leg. Like you literally got to just be like, all right, I'm going to blow through that front leg or take a steep quartering away shot. Is that what you shoot for, Blake?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's why I am pretty opinionated on like arrow setups and broadheads and things like that, is because that's where a lot of my experience comes from, is shooting those big pigs. And in my opinion, as far as their hide goes and that shield goes, I don't know. I've not shot a bunch of big game in North America, but I've yet to see anything that I think really rivals their hide as far as just getting through it and the broadhead staying sharp and stuff. So, I mean, typically I'll just cut them in half and then come down a few inches from that and go straight up the leg. And if I can get a quartering away shot, that's what I want. But my setup, and the reason I shoot fairly heavy poundage or lean on the heavier side of poundage with a 600 grain arrow, is because I can generally get through that shoulder shield pretty easily, the onside, and I don't always get an exit through the offside shoulder, but it's generally almost poking out. And I've had the broadhead hanging out the other side on a couple of them, but
Oh, I was just gonna say,
I
get pass throughs. I get pass throughs. You know, if I'm not high and tight, like in that low, or not low and tight, I guess you should say, because I shoot a similar setup. You know, I'm shooting like 55 pounds from a Wangered Ibex and a 660 grain arrow. Just specifically because of, like you said, shooting hogs. It's like you're shooting through like a couple layers of coarse grit sandpaper before you even get in there. So you got to have a quality broadhead. But yeah, I get some pass throughs. I've been lucky that at least this year I've had some bad luck. But the one hog I have killed, that was a clean pass through. But other than that, to be honest with you, I feel like I have yet to make a shot on a hog where I felt like that was, a pin. Like I've yet, even if they drop right where they're at, I've yet to just feel like I pinwheeled one. All the shots I've taken, I'm like, man, I wish I was like 2 inches further forward. Even though I kill them and they drop, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's tough. Hogs are tough. They're always moving. They're just a real pain in the butt, as you know.
That one I shot in the snow looked like a pincushion by the time that was all said and done. I mean, he still lived like 4 minutes. It was pretty wild. And I mean, you talked about shooting them high. Yeah, it's a big problem finding them. They don't bleed a whole lot. And as a matter of fact, that big one I walked up on in Oklahoma that I shot at like 3 yards, Rob, he wasn't bleeding a whole lot. And I don't carry a pistol, which I probably should when I'm hunting those things, but it can get pretty hairy tracking those things if you're not real sure about where you hit them.
Dude,
no,
I've had them chasing me around when I haven't hit them. Like I got roadie. I've been running around like a rodeo clown, dude, just like away from a boar that was like a mid-sized boar defending a sounder. And then he finally caught my wind. The whole time he was like, I don't know what you are. And I was like running, climbing up trees. Like it was crazy, man. It was nuts.
No, yeah.
I was like,
I've been in some
Sure, you've
pretty
had it.
sketchy situations a time or two, not really thinking about what I was doing. But
So,
yeah,
so Jack, what were you saying your setup was?
Oh yeah, so I'm shooting I picked up a Wangered Ibex. I just picked it up here this last November. I was on Trent's waiting list, and so it's 55 pounds at 28 inches, or maybe 54. It's one or the other. My quiver's covering it up. And I draw 28, and I'm shooting. I hunted all deer season and last season with wood arrows, and my Wangered Ibex. And when I got the Wangered, I hunt pigs mostly in the winter and spring, and so I went back to shooting carbons just because I could get enough of the spine I needed. There's a little bit of a high spine shortage there for the arrows I was shooting wood wise. Anyways, I switched back. So I'm shooting like a 665 grain arrow. I think it's actually 666 grain arrow.
Wow.
And cut like 29 and a half. I have my point on's like 32 yards. So it's actually nice because I typically don't shoot at anything out past, like 37. Even that feels, at least for me, like feels far. I can shoot good on the range, but I just haven't gotten to a place where I feel super comfortable sending it out past like 35. But I also am not like ranging stuff usually. So typically it's like if I have any questions about it, I'm not usually shooting. But yeah, that's my setup, and I've been real happy with it. Last year I shot a stalker. I killed both my bucks and several hogs and turkeys with a stalker Apex riser, and I had and I like it. I had some of South's static recurve limbs on there, and I think that was like 57 or 58 pounds at 28 inches. And I was shooting wood arrows, and I lost for my bucks. I lost both the arrows I shot. They went clean pass through and disappeared into the dirt, and I never found them, which kind of sucked. But yeah, they work great. That wood arrow setup was pretty heavy as well. I was only shooting like 125 grains up front, but overall weight was in like the the mid sixes, like 630 ish. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm a big believer in a heavy arrow. I like to aim, and so I like the idea of being able to use my point on kind of in those ranges where it's a little far for me instinctively to shoot. And I like to be able to kind of rely on that, especially if your heart's pumping, to just know like, okay, if I hold here, I know, some guys can hold over or under real good, but I always struggle with holding under. As soon as I'm gapping more than like a foot, I typically either go instinctive, or if I'm holding over a foot, I typically am not shooting. But that's just where I'm at. Like, I mean, I'm all for guys taking shots they feel good with.
Yeah, no, that's fairly similar to the way I shoot. No, I mean, I know that a deer is not near as tough as a hog. So I mean, I know there's a lot of people who hunt with 40 and 45 pound bows that do great on deer, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But the reason I shoot the setup I shoot is, I mean, if I can get through a pig shoulder, a deer shoulder is not going to be the least bit of an issue. And it opens up some shot angles for me that, people with 40 and 45 pound bows probably aren't going to take. And, I mean, some people have an ethical line, and I get that. But, I mean, if I get a shot that's a little bit quartering too, and it's, the right situation, with my setup, I'm not scared to take some of those shots as long as I feel comfortable. I can fit it in there. So that's kind of why I like to err on the side of a little bit heavier poundage, a little bit heavier arrow. So
yeah, I'm on the same page. I feel like most of the hunting I do is hogs. I hunt. You go like 3 days a week, most weeks from like November to May. And so that heavy arrow setup is just like, I want to be able to blow through the onside leg of a boar if I had to, or if I hit bone, I don't know, it just makes sense for me. But you know, having grown up hunting those things, it's hard to imagine shooting a lightweight bow and a lightweight arrow, at least for hogs. But I know guys do it, and hey, if you're a real crack shot, like, do your thing. But yeah, certainly, I personally have a hard time going with lightweight setup on those guys because it's hard enough with a heavy setup to you know, get to hit them right. And if you do hit bone, I have had a couple experiences where I did hit the plate, Rob, and I know you were asking about that.
Yeah.
I actually did a couple years back. I was shooting an ILF rig in a little bit lighter setup, like just under 50 pounds. Heavy arrow, cutthroat broadhead, super sharp, carbon arrow, and probably like a, you know, 580, 590 grain arrow. And I hit the plate on like a medium-sized boar. Like, I don't know, he's probably, I don't know, even know what weight he was. But anyways, I got like 6 inches of penetration. That, and I never found that pig arrow popped out. Then it happened to me again where I hit another boar in the plate with another single bevel, super sharp. Again, got like, you know, the thing basically bounced out. And then my buddy shot a monster boar a couple weeks ago with like a 800 grain arrow and a 350 grain tough head, and that bounced out off the it basically hit the plate and just stopped, and the arrow just kind of stuck in and then just dropped out. Pig walked off.
Yeah, but you probably didn't have a stabilizer on that rig.
Oh, what's that? Sorry, you broke up.
You probably didn't have a stabilizer on that rig, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. If I had a stabilizer, you know, yeah, if I had a stabilizer, I probably, you're right, 100%. Yeah, maybe a D-loop or something on there. At least some stickers or a new string, you know, one of those high-end strings. Probably should have adjusted my knock point, you know.
Yeah, those things are, those boars are fascinating. Like, you probably heard me talk about skinning out a great big boar. I didn't shoot it. Barry Wenzel had shot this big boar, and it was hanging in a cooler, and I had some skinned meat in there, and I wasn't really happy that he had the unskinned boar in there, and so I ended up skinning it for him, and I was just floored at that plate. I mean, I just marveled at it.
Yeah, no, and I want to be able to get through that onside shield. Like that's. Yeah. If I can get through the onside shield and at least to the offside shoulder, maybe not through it, that's kind of my goal. And I know there's guys who hunt them with 45 to 50 pound bows that do pretty good, but I can only imagine you've got to be pretty selective about your shot angles with setups like that. And
yeah,
I don't know.
You got to be a veteran for sure, or Jedi.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing. And anyways.
How do
Thanks for coming on, Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jack. How do people find your survival school if they're interested?
So I primarily contract out, but I do work for the main company, like who I was teaching for today, and who I teach like most civilians through. It's I have my own website. It's jackharrisonsurvival.com, and they can go check that out. Like I said, I have a lot of these contracts that keep me really busy. So I end up, not spending a whole lot of time marketing myself because it's kind of self-sustaining. But jackharrisonsurvival.com, or if people are curious, on Instagram. And then if they're here in California and they just want to sign up for a class and show up and be like a person in a different group of people from the public, adventureout.com is the company, is the website. It's a company called Adventure Out. And we do backpacking, we do, surfing, rock climbing, survival.
Surfing?
Stuff. Yeah. I live in Santa Cruz, so I'm a hardcore surfer. That's why I can't live in Idaho, man. You guys don't have any good waves. Dude, I'd be screwed up there trying to go surf. You got to go to the rivers or something. Yeah, you can snowboard for sure, but we got good powder here too. But
Sounds
yeah,
like
I
got to come to your survival school. It sounds like more of a like a vacation than a survival school.
Oh, dude. Well, I don't teach surf lessons, but there are people employed by the company that do teach surf lessons.
Really?
And yeah, and so a lot of surf lessons, a lot of rock climbing, backpacking trips, and then I also do. The cool thing about it is there's a lot of people that live near, like I live pretty close to Silicon Valley, and so there's a lot of folks that spend their whole lives working in a tech job or this or that, and so it's nice because you get these people outside and you get them stoked on nature and maybe into bow hunting or whatnot. You just get they're good people once you get them outside and show them like the place that they live in, and they tend to take better care of it and understand it. I'm able to use my platform to really educate a lot of people on, conservation and why you shouldn't hate hunters and why trophy hunting is this
a myth,
whatever emotional rhetoric,
yeah.
targeted stuff, So it ends up being really nice because you get to talk to a lot of people that don't come to the class for any reason other than to learn survival skills, but you can kind of throw a couple little tidbits in there that make them leave in like, oh, hunting's cool.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to vote against it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyways, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more hog hunting with you, Blake, and talk more hunting with you too, Rob. And hopefully you got some other folks maybe that want to call in and chop it up.
Sounds good, bud.
All right, you guys have a good night.
All right, later.
Bye.
All right, Derek Bowser. What kind of speed are you guys getting? My arrow is 600 grains and I'm pulling 48 pounds, getting 165 feet per second. I'm not real sure I think I'm generally somewhere in the 170s, mid 170s, something like that. And Rob, you're probably pretty close to the same, I would think.
I last year, what the heck? I can't even remember what I was shooting. Last time I chronographed bows, I was shooting a Bear 59. So it's been a couple of years ago. It was Bear 59 and my Chinook. I've never chronographed my Widow. And there's, this is just what the chronograph was reading. So, there's a lot that goes into a chronograph, your lighting and all that stuff. But I was shooting 10 grains per pound, almost to the nose on both bows. And the Bear 59 was 191 consistently. And the Chinook was 188, 187 right in there. And, yeah.
Man, that sounds a little bit high, but I really don't know. I've never chronographed my stuff. I just kind of know what I like. I will chronograph this Widow when I get it just because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. That was cool, man. I followed, or we the Stickbow Chronicles has followed Jack for a long time, and I didn't know
his stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know he was a survival instructor at that level. That's pretty crazy, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool. We'll have to get him back on and talk more survival stuff.
Do you remember seeing that picture of that hog? I brought it back up.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that thing was a tank.
Yeah, no, it was. It was. No, and I'm far from a hog hunting expert. I just get a lot of opportunities, so I kill a lot of them. I would imagine some of the guys who are hunting them in less populated areas that are they're guys that are far more knowledgeable on killing those big boars and stuff than I am. I just get a lot of opportunity down here.
Yeah, Derek, the sky's the limit. There is so many different setups you can use, and yeah, that hog.
But it in all honesty though, it is. It's a great way to sharpen your stalking skills and get some trigger time. Hog hunting down in the South. People want to poo-poo on coming to the South, but you can get a lot of experience in a very short amount of time down here, and I think that makes a big difference when it gets to crunch time. Maybe on a out of state hunt or whatever, I think that makes a big difference, having some good solid trigger time.
Carry the conversation for a minute.
Oh, okay. Rob's leaving me. See, Longbow Dan a minute ago wanted to know a little bit more about the Widow I've got coming. So it's going to be a 60-inch PSA, solid G10 riser, about 60 pounds at 28. I draw about 27 and a half. So it's probably going to be about 58, 59 pounds at my draw length. I had them cut the riser a little bit extra past where they normally do, because I'm going to put a weather rest on it. Let's see what else. I had them add a stabilizer bushing to it, and not for a stabilizer. I'm not Cody Greenwood, but so that I can screw a light mount into the front of that thing and mount a light to it for hunting hogs at night. So that'll be nice. I'm going to experiment with strings a little bit. On my bow, I've been shooting D97 strings from Trevor Fielder, Triple T Archery. I've had pretty good luck with those. I'm going to try 8125 that Aaron talks pretty highly of. I'm gonna do some testing for myself and kind of figure out what I want to do on strings. Arrow setup. Those of you who are watching, this is the Snyder Core iron will system.
Did you
not minus the impact collar? What's up?
Did you this is delayed. Yeah, you were holding up. Yeah, that thing's wicked looking, man.
Yeah, and actually I'm not sure that this is the exact setup I'm going to go with. So this is for those watching, this is 160 grain. Here, I'll unscrew them so you can see. This is the 160 grain solid wide. This is the lighter. He's making 2 ferrules in this system. This is the lighter of the 2 ferrules, and with a wide solid blade in it, it's 160 grains. This is a 100 grain weight screw on the back of it. And I may actually go to his heavier ferrule. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to play around with it. I may go to the heavier ferrule so I don't have to run quite as much weight on the back end of it. So it's not quite so long. I don't know. I'm going to play with it and see how much it affects dynamic spine. If it makes things kind of goofy, I may try and run a little bit less weight back in the shaft and try and load it up more towards the front.
So what would be the total weight of your rig there?
This would be, with the impact collar, 285 grains. That's what the total weight up front. But it's not right on the front because you've got so much weight back in the shaft here. So it's 100 grain weight.
Yeah.
But
curious
anyway, I'm
just curious how
spine.
Just running that through my pea brain. That's a gnarly looking broadhead though.
No, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm really going to like it. And if I'm still not 100% sure on arrows yet. I've got some 300 spine X impacts here and some 350 spine deep impacts. So if I need a 350 spine, I'm going to shoot the deep impact because they're a little bit heavier grains per inch. And then if I have to drop down to a 300, I'll shoot the X impacts because they're a little bit lighter. A 300 spine deep impact would be a little heavy for me. So that's my thoughts right now.
So Cody was wondering if those were compatible with iron will heads, and yes, those are all iron will heads on there.
These are iron will. Yeah. So this is a proprietary system. The solid wide Snyder Core. This is basically it's just an all glue in system.
But you could use any broadhead on that, right?
Negative, because the shank is the proprietary part.
Oh, yeah.
See what I mean? Because the shank's so much longer than a regular. Basically, this is a deep 6 broadhead with a lot longer shank that has glue marks on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you'll just hot melt this whole thing in there and have your impact collar on the end, which will be down to, right there. You'll have that much impact collar on it.
And
it's proprietary.
Yeah, and that I know you said it. What broadhead is that? Is that the
This is the solid wide.
solid wide? How many grain?
Just the broadhead portion of it without the weight is 160.
Yeah, that's a good looking head. 160. I thought I was shooting one. So I was shooting 150 vented. The next step up with 160.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So, well, this is a totally different ferrule design. So the way that he didn't want to have so many skews. So basically he made two ferrules, two of the Snyder core ferrules.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is a lighter weight one, and one of them is a heavier weight one. So with this ferrule, his lightweight ferrule with the solid wide blade in it, it's 160 grains.
Gotcha.
With a vented wide blade in it, it would be 25 grains less. So it would be 135 grains with a vented wide. With a regular solid blade, it would be 135 grains. With a vented regular vented blade, it would be 25 grains less than that, so it'd be 110 grains.
So I was shooting though. I want to get away from vented. I was not. I'm not a big fan of the vented. So
I'm not either.
Yeah. So my next step up, would it be the 160s, or has he got a 150?
No, there's a 150. There's a 150 solid wide. That's what I shot this year, and his standard threads, standard components. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can. And as a matter of fact, I'll send you whatever I've got left of 150 solid wides. I'll send them to you.
Oh, you're getting away from them.
Yeah, no, because these are totally different. They won't. I mean, the only thing that I could interchange is the blades. The blades are the same. I can take the blades out of my old ones and put them in these ferrules. But seems like that system. Travis Styles says that seems like that system would really stiffen up the arrow. Not a bad thing, but very interested to see what spine you end up with. So, Travis, I've talked to Bill about this a lot because I felt pretty much the same way, and Bill is much smarter than I am, and he says that it doesn't affect it near as much as cutting off of your arrow does. So my thought always was, if your total weight up front is sunk back into the arrow that far, so that's a good solid 3.5-4 inches of insert right there. My thought always was that that's almost like cutting 3.5 or 4 inches off your arrow, because that weight, with that insert down in it, that's not allowing that portion of the arrow to flex. And it's like setting that weight further back. So I've always kind of assumed that was the case too. And I think it does stiffen up the arrow some. But after talking to Bill and kind of messing around with some different stuff, it doesn't stiffen it up nearly as much as cutting your arrow down does.
Yeah, I was actually shooting the breeze with Aaron this morning, and subject came up. He had a bunch of questions about that very thing, and he was like, "Nah, it was almost unnoticeable."
Negligible, yeah.
Yeah, which it surprises me because I would think the same thing, but I'm not nearly as geeked out on some of that stuff. So when Aaron says no, when Aaron says something, I'm like, oh, okay, I can usually take it to the bank.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to test it too. So I'm gonna basically work up 285 grains up front with this system, and then I'm going to work up 285 grains up front with like a standard outsert, and see how close they are in dynamic spine. See if I can get them both to tune at the same length, and figure out, because I've had my own theories on this and had people ask me just like he did, and I want to figure out exactly how much it does stiffen up the spine.
I'm surprised. 285 sounds like a ton to me. I'm at 220, and I feel like I'm pushing it.
I mean, my first year I shot 225 up front. I was thrilled. It's just, and I may end up at 240 up front. I don't know. It's going to depend on the tune.
Yeah.
But with that much, Jack Harrison commented, says, with that much point weight, or with that much weight, what kind of point on are you getting? My point on's about 36 to 38 yards generally. I've had a point on of as much as like 42, but I was cutting my arrows really short, and I was shooting a little bit lighter arrow then. That was out of my Widow. my original widow that I had. So,
Travis said something about a full length shaft. I can't imagine a full length shaft that much weight.
I try and shoot as close to full length as I can, actually.
So what spine will you be shooting at 280?
350 or 300.
Wow, I would think 300 all day.
I always err. I always shoot a little bit weaker spine than most people, and I don't really know why that is. I've had people tell me it's because my release is shitty, and I've had people tell me it's because my release is really clean. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm generally a spine weaker than most people are. But yeah, no, I try and shoot as close to a full length shaft as I can, just because that gives me a little bit closer point on. But as we were talking about earlier, I have such a high anchor that the arrow length doesn't play as much of a role in my point on distance as somebody who had a lower anchor. But yeah, I try and stay as close to full length as I can. But yeah, no, that's what my widow setup will be. Tim Lurch says, appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for putting on these awesome interactive podcasts and just the podcast in general. I've learned so much and been constantly entertained since the start of Stickbow Chronicles and Kifaru Cast. It's insane. Thank you for the bullshitting information and just being an accepting and solid bow hunting resource. I think you're giving us a little much credit, Tim, but we do appreciate it.
You know, you can take all the credit for the technical stuff, but I will take credit for the bullshitting. I excel. That's what I bring to the table. Big bullshitter.
Ding-ding-a-ling.
Yeah, big bullshitter. I got a lot of comments. I got a lot of comments on the Rad Lab today. I had some people that I had a lot of comments. Most of them actually were from Cody, and they weren't. I'm going to think they weren't positive. I don't know, but it was pretty funny. Got some comments. Some guys like, "Yo, you got to keep that Rad Lab going." Cody was like, "Man, you're such a." I won't say what he said.
Jerry messaged us, said he's making a T-shirt. Hopefully Cody doesn't sue us for copyright infringement.
Cody should sent me a screenshot. Somebody was mad. Like, is that guy making fun of you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I said, man, some people
only had him on the podcast like 7 times.
Yeah, some people just wear their underwear too tight, I guess. I don't know.
I make fun of Cody to his face.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, you want to
wrap it?
Yeah, let's wrap it up here.
All right. Well, hey, I want to say thanks to the sponsors. We're a couple of knuckle draggers, knuckleheads, but companies like Kifaru International, Selway Archery, Terry and Barb over at the Footed Shaft, the guys down in Mississippi, which I think Kyle just killed a turkey the other day, which those turkeys are super smart down there at Backwards Grind Coffee Company. And, of course, Black Widow Bows. Support them that support us. If you like the show, if you don't like the show, keep listening anyways. What the heck? We might say something you like. So, you got anything else, buddy?
That's it, man. It's been good. All right. Live, folks. Thanks for tuning in.